All right, it's time to start. Greetings, Vault Hunters all across the 6 galaxies. Welcome to the Bordercast. We are live at our usual time, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm Mitsu.
And I'm Tessica, coming to you every week to break down all things Borderlands.
As always, we want to take a minute to thank all of our new listeners on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and those watching live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Steam, or later on the VOD on YouTube. And if you are enjoying the program, we would love for you to give us a big ol' like, follow, or favorite so you can help me fulfill my New Year's resolution. To make this a better show, I guess. I didn't really think that through, but I assume it was implied.
We're always trying to do that. That's pretty much a given. How has your week been, Mitsu? What have you been up to?
Oh boy. So I'm glad that we're jumping right into this because I did something that I haven't done in a very, very long time.
Oh.
For my stream that I do right here on the official Borderlands channel on Mondays and Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. I had to work on the time zones in my head. I went back to Borderlands 2 for the first time in a very, very long time.
Nice.
It was great. I gotta say, I don't have the best of the best of the best guns anymore. When it was 72 and it was overpowered level 8 and that was the cap, that was a great time because you pick Salvador and then you stomp through everything solo. It is great. Now, I had forgotten that now I'm level 80 and I'm overpowered level 8. And it is so hard. Even G, my most loved and favorite of bosses, is so much harder to actually kill because I don't have a fire interfacer. I don't have a relevant Rough Rider. I feel I don't even think I have a perfect double penetrating unkempt herald. And all these things are like holding me back, and it's making me sad because I guess I'll go kill Pete for a little while. I guess I'll go kill G once or twice if I can stumble through it, which I did. I managed to stumble through it, thank God. But it was mostly on the back of remembering the mechanics of the fight and not so much just burning G down as fast as possible, which is still slow because it's G. So.
Yeah, I definitely, before my surgery, which kind of put me out for a little bit from streaming or doing anything except sitting on the couch convalescing, I was doing VR Borderlands 2, and I super missed all of my stuff from my PC version of the game. I was just like, give me my DP Herald. I need it. I miss it. But I mean, I might get it again. Also, you have BAMF mode, which is like, it's kind of like bullet time. Like you hit a button and everything slows and you can like hit more crit. It's a little bit like elements of other things like fade away, like you get more crit shots and it's very cool and very effective and feels incredible in VR. But I use it a lot.
I think that's so cool, by the way, that you played Borderlands 2 VR. I know we talked about it, I want to say maybe November or early December of last year.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool thing to actually like say you have had done now.
Well, I haven't finished it yet, so I'm still actually working through that playthrough. So we might do that this Sunday. I'm going to be streaming several Sundays for the foreseeable future in the evenings because I've missed a few streams due to my surgery that I just had. Yay, dentistry, not fun. And so I'm just going to be doing some bonus streams on Sundays. There'll probably be some VR and some arms race because I'm still loving that. And yeah.
It occurs to me, by the way, imagine fighting the warrior in VR.
Yeah, I think was it the warrior? So a long time ago when Borderlands 2 VR was first coming out on PlayStation, I think I was at either E3 or TwitchCon. I don't remember which convention it was, which is terrible. But the wonderful Josh set me up with a tryout of it. And I think it might have been the warrior that I fought in PlayStation VR. I only got to do a little tiny bit. I fought, pretty sure it was the warrior. I might be wrong, but it was a boss fight in VR and it was intense. Super, super, super intense. I've only gotten through the first couple of boss fights in Borderlands 2 in my actual playthrough at home. But they've also been something else, like in a good way. It's really crazy when there are like bullymongs flying at you and psychos flying at you and just all of it. It just feels very immersive and realistic, and like you turn all the way around and you're in the Borderlands, and it's just awesome. It's a very good experience.
That must be so disorienting too, because it involves rabid stalkers coming at you, rabid skags coming at you. And I don't know, for those of you who didn't play Borderlands 3 or Borderlands 2 rather, when I was playing Borderlands 2 the other day, there were rabid skags right before G, and those things came running at me and they don't stop. They have no concept of some sort of like fear mechanic where if they're getting shot at, they're going to run away from you. They attack you and then they attack you again, and then they attack you again, and then they attack you again, and you're probably dead at that point because you haven't regenerated enough health to get above health gate, which sucks. Rabid enemies are the worst. But so that was one little thing I was glad that they got rid of in Borderlands 3, because they're so and they're tanky too. Rabid enemies have like 3 times the health of a normal skag or a normal stalker or whatever particular enemy you're facing. So it's just awful.
Yeah, BAMF mode does really help though. Like the game is a challenge in general if you're just playing from scratch. Like if you're starting a brand new character and you don't have anything on it and you're just like starting from the beginning, just playing through it, it's a significant challenge. I think whether you play on PC or like normal flat version or VR version, right? And PC or PlayStation VR, I think is the same. The difficulty is significant, but BAMF mode makes you feel like, I don't know, it's like an extra action skill. Because so of course I'm playing Maya, and Maya has her phase lock, which is super awesome in VR. That is so satisfying to do in VR. It's amazing. But also BAMF mode. So it's like I have Maya and like a little bit of Flack kind of in there. And it's really neat. It's been a really fun playthrough so far. I'm actually excited for this Sunday because I haven't been able to play for a few days because of yay, dental surgery. Not fun.
Damn, real life getting in the way of video games.
Seriously, what the heck?
It's so unfortunate. So, as we've been saying, Designer's Cut is out now. We are starting to really think about and look forward down the line towards when we get more information about the final DLC, as long, or at least as much as we know. The Director's Cut, it should be coming, I think March or April, I want to say. They said spring.
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
Spring.
We don't have like a date, but hopefully spring 2021 this year.
When's the first day of spring? Is it March 21st?
I have no idea. I'm really bad about that.
I don't know seasons. I don't leave my house. I'm a video gamer. Also, there's a global pandemic. You might have heard of it.
Yeah, I take the trash out in a mask. I go running in the woods where there's nobody else on the trails, and we do have seasons where I live, but it's kind of like spring feels really long here, I feel like, because winter is like a week and a half. There's like long fall, long summer, long fall, little bitty winter, long spring, long summer, long fall, basically where I live. So I feel like it starts earlier here than it does in a lot of other places because I live in like not really the South, but like the northern South of the U.S. Anyway,
the northern South. That's the middle. Middle S.
The middle. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Borderlands 3 now out on both PS5 and Xbox Series X/S with performance mode, which boasts it all up to 120 frames per second on anything that can actually run it at 120 frames per second. So you've got really a nice TV or monitor that you got for Christmas. This is the time to take advantage of all of that.
All of you lucky humans that actually have gotten a PS5 or an Xbox Series X.
I'm trying real hard to find a Series X. I just like the feel of the controller better when I'm playing a shooter game like Borderlands.
You can use that controller actually with PC. If you just like the Xbox controller, you absolutely can just get the controller and use it with PC with Borderlands and any other game.
Oh yeah, I've been thinking about getting an Elite Series 2 actually, because I'm a fancy man and I have fancy needs. Why I would actually need it other than that, I don't know, but you know what? It's fun to use. They're really nice. When you can, being able to, all right, a slight tangent here, and I apologize to everybody watching. I used to play Nintendo 64. It's well documented both here and everywhere else that you could possibly think of with video games. And my thumbstick for my favorite controller is actually very loose. And none of my friends can ever use it whenever they come over to play whatever games that we play if we're playing on the N64. They're like, this is too loose. I don't like this. And I always wondered why that was. I thought it was that's just how it is. And then I think like 2 years ago, a friend of mine had a see-through purple N64 controller. And he gives it to me. He's like, this is what it's supposed to feel like, you dummy. And I use it, and it's like a very tight, like you have to apply a little bit more pressure, but you have a little bit more control because you don't push your thumb down and it just goes full force. You can give it a little give to it. So the nice thing about like a controller like that is when you're playing a game such as Borderlands, you can adjust how tight or loose the thumbstick actually is on a Elite.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah. So it's like a little thing like that was a 20-year-old problem for me can now be fixed if I get this controller. So it's just like a cool little aside for those of you who really like first-person shooter games and being able to kind of customize further how you, actually give that kind of feedback when you're playing a game such as that. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's super, super, super neat. I just want a PS5. I've given up trying to get one for now because I just it seems impossible. So I'm just like not even trying until hopefully they become less scarce. But that's what I want. I just want a PS5.
It's a good choice.
Yeah.
The haptic feedback, especially with Borderlands, apparently works really well.
Yeah.
That feedback of you every time you shoot, getting that right there. I've heard the stories. I'm envious.
Very, very cool. I wouldn't myself personally get to experience that, but Rob would. So yeah, because I can't use the controller, but I'd have to use the adapter to use keyboard and mouse because my hand is borked forever. But he'd probably get a lot out of it, which would be cool.
Or assuming that you ever did get an Xbox, do you think that the adaptive controller would be something that you could look into that might be able to help you?
Maybe
like something like Borderlands?
I've looked into it before. My current setup works really well for me, like a trackball and a keyboard that I built called the Kyria from splitkb.com. I like building keyboards and I know how to program it, and thanks to the amazing keyboard community. So it's like allowed me to do a lot of things that I never really could do before. Like I'm basically playing all games with my left hand, except for moving the camera around with my right. Excuse me. So it works for the time being. It works, and I don't need the adaptive controller. I tried to actually, because again, you can use the adaptive controller with PC also. You don't need an Xbox. So for me, it doesn't really I think Xbox is amazing. Don't get me wrong. It just doesn't make sense for me to get an Xbox because I have a PC, and I actually have Xbox Game Pass for PC, and all the stuff that works with an Xbox works with PC. So the only reason that I would ever get an Xbox, I think, is if I wanted to couch game, which maybe someday. Maybe someday. But yeah, I think an adaptive controller would be amazing as an option, but it's not something I need, so I haven't really I tried to get one once upon a time, but they were super out of stock, like everything in life, and so I gave up and found another solution.
There's an old saying, art through adversity.
Yeah.
And that can extend to other things through adversity too.
Yeah.
So, Bunkers and Badasses, it's coming. The D&D tabletop style Borderlands themed game that everybody wanted but didn't know they actually did until it was finally announced.
I wish we knew when. That's the only question I have on that, because I know they've said sometime in the near future, but we have no idea
they said
when.
March.
Did they say March?
Like late March, I want to say. I don't know for sure,
but
I thought I heard that somewhere. That's why I was so eager to pre-order, because it's like, oh, they gave us a modestly reasonable timetable as to when that game will actually come out.
Yeah, I mean, I pre-ordered immediately. I'm so excited for it. I hadn't heard March. That's exciting if that's the case. We don't know for sure, but that's really cool.
Yeah, I think it might have been in the IGN preview that they played too. So,
but
we'll see.
Okay.
let's see. And I know this was asked a few times in the chats. Yes, crossplay is still coming between PC, of course, all platforms on PC, and all platforms console related. So that'll be here. They still haven't announced the specific time yet, but they said early this year. So I assume Q1. But again, we don't know. So hang tight. If Gearbox says it's happening, it's happening. We just have to find out or survive long enough, make sure that it happens. All right.
Yeah.
So what did you do this past week in Borderlands, if anything? Because I know you were kind of roughing it this week.
I've been pretty much out of commission. I had to have, like I said, dental surgery last week, so it's the first of 3 fun times. But I like finally I kept starting back to stream and then like talking a lot. Basically made things worse every time. So like I'd feel fine and then I'd talk a whole lot and I'd feel worse again. So I'd have to like take a day off and then be back and then take another 2 days off. So it's just been kind of like stop and go for a week, but it only happened a week ago. So I am feeling better now. And like I said, I'll be back on this channel on Sunday this week with some gameplay. We'll probably do some Borderlands 2 VR. We'll definitely do some arms race and stuff like that in Borderlands 3. I might do another playthrough of Borderlands 1 at some point because I've only played through that one time. And I would like to, yeah, like I've played through Borderlands 2 a gazillion times. I played through Borderlands 3 another gazillion times, and I love them both so much, but I've only played 1 once. And I've only played the pre-sequel like 4 or 5 times, so there might be a playthrough of that in the future. Also, I'm very slow, so there might not be. If things come out before, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so not much to report in the last week, except lots of recovery on the couch with my cats. Watching people stream. I was watching Triple G, actually, who is still running a very, very cool challenge. He streams on this channel too on Fridays and Sundays in the mornings Eastern. And so I kind of hang out sometimes and lurk. I'm a horrible lurker. But he's been running a really, really cool challenge called the one tree skill challenge. And should we show them the cool current leaderboard standings?
Yeah, why not? Let's jump around a little bit. I'm down for that. The One Tree Skill community event led by Triple G is going on right now. If you happen to have the leaderboard, please, by all means, show the people. I'm actually excited. I have not seen the leaderboard yet either. I didn't even see it in show prep because I think he puts one out every day in the morning, correct?
I actually asked him for the updated one right before the show. I forgot to tell you. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I get to see it along with everybody else. So this is the first time I actually get to see this. This is oh, wait. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm taking this. Okay, so this is the overall leaderboard. Mm-hmm. Scaled takedown and true takedown, which is actually a really good way of doing it. Winnie the Pooh is the leader right now in scaled takedown.
Yeah. So using the bottomless mags tree with 5 minutes and 57 seconds, which is insane.
That's a sub 6. That actually is insane.
What's interesting to me is true takedown has even faster times. Garwood is leading the pack with the Hitman tree with 4 minutes and 31 seconds. That's insane. True takedown in 4 minutes and 41 seconds.
And no skips are allowed, if I recall, from the rules, right?
Yeah, we can look over the rules real quick, but basically no glitches, skips, or exploits, no complex route, no rocket launchers, limited action skill start anoint, solo runs only, class mod can have points from other trees, right? And then the full details, well, mostly you only want to use 1 skill tree, 26 points, and associated augments. And it's the MALIWAN takedown that these times are for, right? So scaled and true takedown. And these are the full rules that I'm currently showing you guys. I think the only ones I didn't mention, no deaths. You can only spend your skill points in 1 tree. You don't have to spend all of them if you don't want to. Augments can only be selected from the same tree you've spent skill points on. You're permitted to use any class mod, even if it has points from other trees. Base action skills are permitted from any tree, irrespective of which tree you have applied skill points. Groundbreaker is disabled, which is a Guardian rank thing. You have to be on Mayhem 11, so no Mayhem 10 shenanigans, which I didn't actually realize that that was a rule. And wow, those times are even more insane if you're not using Speed Demon.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All gear, skill trees, and guardian ranks must be shown either before or after the completed run and be in one recording. No mods or third-party software that affects the game. So that's these times are nuts. Garwood with 4 minutes and 31 seconds, Bratuha with 4 minutes and 56 seconds, Donkall with 4 minutes and 58 seconds, and Triple G himself with 5 minutes and 3 seconds. Thick Fillet with 5 minutes and 22 seconds. Lazy Data coming in with some really awesome times in there with True Takedown. That's insane. There's so many hitman trees here. I see some Demolition Woman and Bottomless Mags and Hunter and Fist of the Elements in the scaled takedown, but the true takedown are all Hitman and only one Lazy Data Stalker run. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
So if I may, and I'm thinking about this because this is the real question to ask when we see this, because I know where everybody's brain goes to first. Everybody's brain goes to, oh well, clearly this means that Zane is OP. But that is not necessarily the case, and I'll tell you why. Is Zane very strong right now? Yes. Is it probably because it's overpowered? Also, yes. But when you see overwhelmingly that this is the case, you have to remember this is a time-based challenge. And I don't think any character in the game presently moves faster than Zane.
That's true. I super agree. I think these crazy times are I think partially it is because he's so strong, but also because he's speedy. So I think my brain just kind of skipped over the whole Mayhem 11 only rule. I totally didn't think of that. So when I first saw this, I actually was like, oh, they must all be using Speed Demon and Zane. That totally makes sense. I think either way, if they're using a speed buff or they're just using Zane, Zane is going to be faster than any other Vault Hunter. He just naturally is. So that's for speed running, he's definitely, I think, obviously the most OP, and that's really cool and interesting. I don't think necessarily he's the most OP overall. I don't think that's what it means. He is very strong, but the other characters all have builds, I think, that are equally as strong.
Right. And I hesitate to say that this is justification for buffs and nerfs. It is a community challenge. People are going to be designing things specifically so they can beat those challenges. And some of that stuff is really impressive. I mean, obviously, Zane is very highly represented in the true takedown, but in the scaled takedown, there are still Zane builds in there. But I noticed, I think I saw at least one Amara, maybe two. I'm pretty sure I saw at least one Mose. I don't think I saw any Flax. I saw Flak in True Takedown, though. That was Stalker Tree and True Takedown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a Flak in the more challenging one.
Yes. But everything else is Hitman. So
I'm just surprised that like the true takedown times are faster. I guess it's just maybe the people running it. I guess it's the people running it.
It might be. I guess they probably just, they're like, yeah, I mean, we could blow that out of the water. Well, maybe we don't have interest. But it's also momentum based. And when you're playing True Takedown, you're also killing how many enemies. So you're constantly keeping all of your kill skills active all the time. So for them, it might just be a case of kill an enemy, keep your cooldowns going, go, 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 go. And that's easier to do when you have more enemies coming at you.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know for sure. So.
That's true. It's very interesting, but it is a very, very cool challenge, you guys. If you do want to enter, just hit up Triple G's Twitter. It's just triple_GZ1 on Twitter, or just triple_G on Twitch, and then you can find links to all of his other platforms. Actually, I'm going to put a link to everything into the Twitch chat right now. If you're ever on the Borderlands channel, twitch.tv/Borderlands, you can just type !triple and get a link to his other platform channels and find him there and just join the competition if you want. It ends in 3 days, so you still have time.
That's why he's called Triple G. I don't think that was ever explained to us, even when we asked him where he got his name from.
I think he did explain it.
Did he?
I think he did. I vaguely remember this.
I don't remember that.
Vaguely, I remember this.
For those of you who don't know, his YouTube channel is officially named Gorilla Game Guru.
Yeah, so there's 3 G's.
Triple G.
Yeah.
Very good. It's very, very good. So, for those of you who want to enter, please make sure you get your entries in by January 21st, as that is the last day to enter. And speaking of things that end on January 21st, there is a new mini event that we will talk about in a sec. What's up?
Tiny clarification. I think the competition actually ends on January 17th because that's what the last leaderboard says. Yeah.
Oh, maybe they changed it.
Maybe. I'm not sure. But you're absolutely right. The event ends on January 21st. So hot fixes applied.
Yes, that thing.
Shall we? The thing? The little thing?
There it is. Found it. Ah, yes. Finally, it's a new year. And we finally got a few new hotfixes to start off the year. The first and most important of which being the Supercharged mini event. The Supercharged mini event is for the takedown at the Guardian Breach. Players will no longer need to stay in the crystal charging area in order for crystals to charge. As a result, players will no longer wipe during those particular encounters, at least from failing to charge a crystal. This event ends January 21st. It's a tiny little mini event, and I think this is a precursor to a permanent change, which does happen sometimes. Gearbox sometimes takes a little bit of an experiment. They say, okay, we're going to see how players react if we introduce a new variable element to what we were doing. And we're going to go ahead and maybe make it a permanent change if it finds out that people wind up really resonating with this.
This is speculation, by the way. We don't know for sure that it's going to be permanent. We're just guessing.
Yeah, no, this is all speculation. But I'm going by history, for I am a child of history. And this seems like they're testing the waters to make it a permanent change. Now, whether or not that goes through, that depends on you guys. If you really like this change, then let them know via Twitter, YouTube,
Reddit,
comment sections right here. Let
Discord.
Us know. Discord will let them know. The Discord folks will let them know. They're constantly monitoring these channels. So if you think that this is a good change that should be made permanent, that's the way to do it. Because otherwise, how are they going to know?
Yeah, definitely. If you guys enjoy it, make sure you try it out. If you've not run, we had a couple people say in the chat that they hadn't actually run the Guardian Takedown yet. So if you haven't run the Guardian Takedown yet, now is a good time to try it after this, like while this event is going on, because it's going to be a little bit of a smoother experience for you, a little bit more doable if you've been struggling with it. So, or just didn't feel like trying it because it seemed really hard, because it is really hard. Now is a good time to check it out. It might be a little bit easier. I still feel like they need to, personally, I still feel like they need to implement some kind of checkpoint mechanic that's better than the one checkpoint that they basically have in there now. I mean, I can get through it, but only because I'm using builds that are incredibly OP, right? Like GT Shorty and Mama Bear and things like that. And like as a person that plays a little bit more casually with my own character that I made forever ago that isn't like super OP, I really struggle, and it's absolutely demoralizing when you get really, really, really far and then you die. And so I feel like they need to find some kind of middle ground between providing an incredibly powerful challenge for the like super end game people, like the people that are doing this one tree skill challenge of triple G's and all of those guys, but they also need to implement, I feel like, some kind of way for the more casual but like loyal players to Borderlands to be able to do this content if they're still struggling with it. I definitely think this is a cool step that they're taking in that direction. Like they're trying to make it easier and more accessible to people, which is super awesome of them to do. And I personally super appreciate it. But I feel like some kind of checkpoint system that's a little bit more generous would also be really nice. It's just my personal take on it.
I agree. It is very frustrating to go through all of a takedown to get to the end and get to the boss and then die to something that might not necessarily be your fault, or even halfway through die to something that might not necessarily be your fault, and having to do all of that all over again. It is an exhausting amount of time. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of G. Because I was doing G and I would get all the way to, I think maybe G at 33% when G puts up a big bubble, and then I would die. And I got to come back and do it all over again. It takes about 10 minutes to get to that point. That's one boss. Now imagine doing the same thing, but now you have to go through a ton of trash mobs and then platforming environments and effects. And then you get to the boss. And then you still might die to have to go back and do all of that again. And like 20 years ago, that was part of game design. But now I think we've moved a little bit forward. We can be a little bit more lenient with people.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe you could buy revives with iridium or something. I feel like we've talked about various options in the past, and I also I don't know how hard this stuff is to implement. From a technical standpoint, I don't know if it's even possible to make it so that you could pay iridium to get a revive or something like that. I don't know, but it would be cool. Just saying. But I do feel like this mini event is a really, really, really good step in the right sort of direction, and it's a really good mini event for people that maybe haven't had a chance to finish Guardian Takedown yet. So you get some really incredible skins for both your Echo device and for your characters if you complete it. By the way, you get the Bad Astra skin, which is my favorite skin in the game. I use it all the time. It's the galaxy one that's super spacey and has all the little sparkly lights on it. It's just incredibly beautiful, and it's my favorite thing in the world. So definitely worth trying Guardian Takedown during this mini event if you haven't had a chance yet, just for that skin. It's gorgeous.
It is a good one. A few other buffs came through with the hotfixes this past week. Techspert class mod, a Zane class mod, has a chance on kill to recharge Sentinel cooldown and duration, which now is up to 35% from 15%. So it's a 20% buff. I can't really see that being utilized all that much unless there's something coming down the pipeline, like whenever DLC 6 comes out, that warrants that kind of change. Because that's not a change right now that affects anything about how the game is currently played by anybody, nor does it eclipse any class mods that Zane would use that also have similar effects.
That makes me really curious about what's coming. Super curious. Interesting thought.
There is the DNA, which got an increase in damage, magazine size, fire rate, projectile speed, and decreased reload time. Those are all healthy buffs. The Ripper got a damage buff. The SF Force got a damage buff. And if I recall correctly, I saw Lazy Data posting earlier on Twitter that particular damage buff was 400%.
Whoa, that's huge. That's super, super huge. That's awesome.
Yeah. And the Malak's Bane got a damage buff.
Nice.
Which,
buffs.
If I recall correctly, that was 33%.
Wow. Very nice.
Yes. So, very I mean, it's the Malak's Bane. I feel like it probably needs more still, but 33% is still a step in the right direction. So,
yeah,
that is a nice small. You know what it is? It's a clue. It's a clue again. I think it reinforces what Triple G was talking about a month ago when he was on. Triple G said that everything has been consistently buffs. Buff this. Buff that. No nerfs. Everything has been pointing towards buff, which means that they have something in mind to warrant all of these buffs.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be super great. More challenging stuff. more end game stuff, that would be amazing. I hope he's right. I really hope he's right. I guess we'll find out when we find out, but that would be awesome.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on. And speaking of things that are a lot going on, 2K has decided to partner up with the New York Video Game Critics Circle. And we here at the Bordercast are proud to announce our support for, in conjunction with 2K, the New York Video Games Critics Circle charity, which is an organization benefiting low-income areas in New York City with college scholarships and paid internships. Dedicated to the long-term mentoring of students between the ages of 13 to 18, the organization also mentors older adults in the areas of technology and holds workshops at the New York Public Library, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal of the charity is to help students obtain careers in the areas of game development and gaming journalism. And you may know one of their benefactors quite well. One of the most legendary figures in the gaming industry, Reggie Fils-Aimé. Which, that's so cool. That I think I read an article about it. Reggie spending his retirement helping people better their lives, which is one of the best things one can do. He's helping kids, trying to just get a leg up. In order to donate, there is a Tiltify. Donate.tiltify.com/New York Video Game Critics Circle.
All those words are separated by the little line. I will also put this link in the podcast description section. So if you're listening in the podcast, the link is there for you guys. Or you can come to the Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Borderlands and just type !donate in the Twitch chat and you'll get the link there. There'll probably be a panel below the stream as well, but just type !donate in the chat and you can go directly there. Now, when you do that, you're donating directly to the charity. That's how Tiltify works. So in case you've never sort of used Tiltify before, it's just like a payment processing platform that allows you to donate directly to the charity. So you can like write it off in your taxes and all that good stuff, but also you know exactly where your money is going and it's going to benefit this really, really awesome cause that's super worth it. Living in New York City, growing up in New York City, which I did, I know Mitsu lives not too far from there. It's an incredibly expensive place to live. And any leg up is huge for people. And this is a really, really cool charity, especially with everything that they've gone through this year. I mean, the whole world is going through stuff, but New York had it particularly hard. So I just think it's really, really cool that they're doing this and that 2K is matching donations. So any donations you can make to this wonderful cause are super appreciated. Even $1 is amazing. 50 cents is amazing. I don't think there's like a minimum. If there is, it's usually about $1 just to cover fees. So just, you know, any amount you can spare would be incredible. Like I said, !donate and 2K Games, which publishes Borderlands and is our sort of parent. They're amazing and they're matching all donations up to $10,000. And the goal is to raise $20,000 total, which is really, really cool.
2K is leveraging everybody across all of the games that they currently have under their umbrella to do so. So I believe also PGA, WWE, NBA, of course, Gearbox and Borderlands. Well, not Gearbox specifically, but Borderlands in general. All of these are being leveraged to try and help this wonderful cause. So if you have a little bit lying around and you'd like to help people who definitely are in need right now pursue some of the greatest dreams that all of us share, this is the charity for you. Speaking of, the Critics Circle is hosting their 10th annual award show on January 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern, with the pre-show starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And this is the annual fundraiser that they do, which benefits their works. So this is only on the up and up, especially having a powerhouse like Reggie behind them. It's an amazing cause, and it's really cool. And you might see a familiar face or two during that event. I don't know.
Possibly.
You never know. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe, maybe not. That's it.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, you guys. And just a reminder, !donate. I'll put it in the chat again. And when we're streaming, hopefully we'll have the extension set up so you guys will even get alerts when you donate. But if you have already donated, let us know in the chat. Let us know on Twitter. Thank you very much for doing so. We really, really appreciate it. And I know
Indeed.
the people of New York that will benefit from this charity are going to hugely appreciate it, young and old. It really is amazing.
It's a brand new year in Borderlands. We finally made it to 2021. And while our last episode 2 weeks ago for New Year's Eve was all about looking back on a previous year and some wish lists for the future, we managed to squeeze a few in there. I'd like to take a moment to kind of discuss everything that we are looking forward to that has been confirmed, or at least little like sneaky rumors, especially one of them, which we're going to discuss because this one's going to blow my damn mind. I have feelings. We'll get there. So the director's cut, we've talked about that a little bit. It really seems like the director's cut is going to be very endgame focused, that it's going to provide new challenges or maybe even, and I don't know, but I'd like to see them perhaps at least revamp or take a second look at already established challenges to find out ways to make them more accessible, but perhaps at the same time more difficult, or if not difficult, then more elaborate. I would like to see if they do director's cut. We all want to see raid bosses. I think it's that one has been talked to death. That is a challenge everybody enjoys. I hope that Revenge of the Cartels is incorporated with it as well. We haven't heard anything about it, and I think it's probably one of the very few things I've ever seen in Borderlands that was so universally loved. People literally said we would throw down money for this free content to be permanent content for us.
Yeah, I think because
never seen that.
It felt like a raid boss to a lot of people because of the nature of the encounter, like the length of it and the sort of method of it and all that. And I totally agree with that. And it was so fun, and some of the best loot that you could get, you got from that event. When did it take place last year? I don't remember exactly.
It was Wait, no, they extended it. That's right. I think it was at the end of March to early April.
Okay.
And they extended it all the way through May and ended, I want to say, June 6th.
Thank you so much for donating to the charity, Lastful. Super appreciate it.
No, that is very nice, Lastful says. Thank you, bud. Live donations. Apparently, we're doing a charity stream all of a sudden. But yes, yeah, end of April. So it was 6 weeks. It was a very, very long event, and people wanted it. People wanted more of it. And you're right. You're absolutely right. It felt like, you know what it felt like? It felt like how a takedown should feel, because it had all the elements of a takedown. You had to clear through trash. You had to go through a mini boss, one of 3, that was super. Actually, you had to go through all 3 at some points. Mm-hmm. It's just the order of them was always randomized.
Yeah.
And then you had to go through all that, but there were checkpoints along the way. And then, of course, you get to the boss. But if you died on the boss, you didn't have to do everything again. You just had to do Joey Ultraviolet. So
yeah,
it was very well put together. The music was amazing. The setting was amazing.
The pacing was really good. Yeah, it's just a really, really good and free event, and we want it back. And I'm sure, I hope, and I am sure that we'll see it back. I also hope with everyone that it becomes permanent, because I feel like so many people want it. But yeah, rerunnable but different every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit different every time.
It's some of the best that Borderlands has ever had to offer. It's just a wonderful event. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely seems like, we don't know, but director's cut is definitely pushing towards a very endgame focused DLC, and we'll see what happens with that. Bunkers and Badasses, Tess, I know you could talk about this all year.
I'm super excited. Yeah, I'm just super excited because I love all things tabletop RPG related. I just want it to be here already. The IGN preview was like a teaser almost of like things to come. Lots and lots and lots of cool possibilities just based on what we saw from them, and I just want it to be here, please. I'm excited to play it. So
yeah, the IGN preview, I know we talked about it very briefly last year. It it looks like a lot of fun. It allows a lot of room for you to create your whole vision of what Borderlands could really look like in a tabletop setting.
Yeah.
It's a shame that we can't bring this into the virtual space, because if that was the case, then you would have people who are able to create their own guns, create their own maps, create their own stories.
Yeah.
And it's just a wonderful idea. If you haven't gotten the deluxe edition, I would suggest highly that you do. The things that it offers, little statues, a map, the book itself with all the rules and everything of that, it's worth having. I think it comes with a bunker master divider.
There's a whole thing, and it's really cool looking, just for added immersion if you're playing in person. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people playing this over Zoom meetings, because obviously pandemic world, that's how we play a lot of tabletop. You see a lot of tabletop RPG shows done that way on Twitch. Actually, it's a growing category here. I'm part of 2 shows. I'm very lucky to be a part of those shows, and I enjoy them so much. And I'm just looking forward to not only playing Bunkers and Badasses myself here on the Borderlands channel and maybe in other places with our current community, but I'm really excited for people that maybe haven't been introduced to Borderlands yet, or maybe haven't played the main game, but for like the D&D community and tabletop RPG community to get into Bunkers and Badasses, because I think they're gonna like take it and run with it, and I'm so excited to see where they take it. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I just want to see what wacky weapons people come up with. I want to see the little because it comes with sheets, if I recall correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can make little weapon sheets. So I'd love to see what some bunker masters make for some like ridiculously overpowered weapons. Yeah, I would really like to see if Gearbox takes some of their favorite guns that they've seen people come up with in Bunkers and Badasses and bring 1 or 2 of them into Borderlands.
That would be cool.
Because remember, when you're doing this, you don't have to think linearly. This is Borderlands. Everybody thinks of a gun, even when you're playing something like Bunkers and Badasses, you're thinking of a gun, point, shoot, and done. But this is Borderlands. So if, for example, you wanted to have a shotgun that shot swords that explode on impact, you could do that. This is Borderlands. So people can come up with anything. If they want to come up with a gun that shoots out light bulbs that explode on impact and give you good ideas, you could do that. And also damage your enemies.
That sounds amazing.
I just came up with that right now, just looking at my light for my studio here. But like, you have infinite options because it's Borderlands, and Borderlands doesn't constrain you to any of the logical rules of the world. There are none. You have a gun that, if you wanted it in Borderlands, it would be like a rocket propelled grenade, right? So you shoot at your feet and it does damage to you, but it could launch you like across the battlefield and do something like that. But like you use 1 ammo, so you've got, and then you like lose a turn probably or something, so you got to balance it. But like you could do things like that, and then you could bring that into Borderlands and just make the RPG and just have it just be something that just launches you all over the map.
Yeah, man, there's so many possibilities. I personally am excited to see what kind of characters people make and like what kind of backstories people create for themselves. I'm sure there'll be a lot of sort of content to draw from in the book itself and ideas and things, but like the tabletop community is incredibly creative and the Borderlands community is incredibly creative, and I'm so excited for them to like get together and make cool stuff. And there's just so many possibilities. Like you could come up with some crazy siren powers, you could come up with some really interesting backstories to your characters and see how all of those interactions play out. I love the idea of like the drama of that. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, and I'm excited. I just want it to be here already, please.
Yeah, I knew you would be all down for that. There is something else to look forward to. I don't know if it's going to come out this year, but I did hear that principal filming is starting very soon. I'm very excited for this.
The Borderlands movie.
Yes, the Borderlands movie, which is already confirmed to being directed by Eli Roth and confirmed to starring Kate Blanchett. This one's not confirmed as far as I've seen, but everybody keeps saying it's confirmed in all of the news outlets. But I haven't seen official words, so maybe I just missed something. Kevin Hart is going to be Roland?
I don't think we know this for sure.
We don't know this for sure, but like it's been bandied about, and you know, the Hollywood dirt sheets are talking about it like it's fact at this point. I don't believe them, but that's what they say. That's such a like if that's true, we don't know. But if that's true, that's such a strange choice for Roland. And no offense to Kevin Hart, because he's a funny guy. But when I think Roland, I think of like somebody 6'1", 6'2", pretty built. I don't think of somebody who's necessarily very comical. Somebody like maybe like Denzel Washington, for example, or like Terry Crews. Somebody like, yeah, not a comedian. But we've said this, and somebody pointed out to me, and it's true, that that's not always the case. You can have somebody like Robin Williams who can do a serious role. You don't have to have somebody who's typically funny not star in things where they can be serious. Even Adam Sandler has decent to very good serious roles. Uncut Gems is actually very good. So, and the most famous example of this being, I remember what it was like when they announced Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker. Everybody said, what? Who? That guy? You think that guy can be the Joker? And he's the second best Joker that we've ever had in the history of anything.
I feel like, and this is purely from I have watched way too much television in my life, throughout my life perspective. Actors get typecast so much.
Yes.
It's actually like mind blowing. My partner and I have been watching like a lot of sort of crime dramas, like the just various TV shows and things like that over the last couple of years, and the same actors get used for the exact same things in every single show. Like you just see them pop up in all of the show, like not necessarily the main actors, although some of them actually also play the same roles or very similar roles, but especially like all of the supporting roles. Literally the same people chosen to play the exact same. Like it's like they have and I'm sure this is partially true. It's like they have like a person that they call for a specific role that they have in mind. Like I need a dirty cop, or I need a I don't know, like a coach, like a high school sports coach, and it's the same guy every time. And it's crazy. Or I need like the I don't know, sneaky seductress girl, and it's the same. It's amazing. It's amazing how people get typecast. And I mean, I get that it's easy for the industry to do that, be like, oh, I know she can do it because she already has done it, right? But at the same time, I feel like so acting and role playing are totally not the same thing in any way, shape, or form. And I do feel like, but they do have some things in common. And I feel like it's easier to role play yourself. It's much easier to role play one kind of character and kind of like get used to that and do that. But it's much more interesting for a creative human to stretch and try different personalities on for size and try different things, right? Like nobody can do the same thing over and over and over again forever and not get bored and tired of it. That's just the reality of life, right? Humans like change and variety. We like routine, but we also like change and variety in that routine. So I feel like if this person ends up playing Roland, I think we need to give him the benefit of the doubt and see what he does with it, you know? I think just because someone's a comedian, like you said, they might have incredible range and they might totally surprise you. Or maybe they mean for the character to be a little bit more lighthearted than he might have been in the game. You know, movie is a very different animal to a game, I feel like. So I'm going to trust them because they just haven't led us wrong yet. Like every single Borderlands game to me has been a wonderful experience in terms of both the gameplay and the story, right? Like as a person that loves stories and storytelling and experiencing them both visually and reading and all that stuff. I think the stories that Gearbox has told with Borderlands have been great. And they like are fully involved with this movie, so it's not like they just handed off the rights to someone. They're super involved with it, right? So I'm just gonna trust them and see what happens. Personally, I feel like it's gonna be really cool, and I'm excited.
Going back to the before times, I remember that Eli Roth was at PAX East, and they made a special. Was it PAX East? I think so.
I think,
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think it was PAX East.
That's right. Yeah, that was the very last convention before the dark times, and he was there, and he seemed very enthused and involved in wanting to make it as accurate and as enjoyable as a production as it could possibly be. I remember I was watching. They were doing takes to practice everything that they were going to announce on stage, and they actually had Eli Roth stand up there and had a giant like not claptrap, death trap. It was death trap, a giant death trap on top of him, so that he could pretend to be Gage's death trap during the because they were just like, who wants to? They were just trying to get somebody from backstage. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll just wear it. I'll just stand here real quick, because they had Shirami Lee there. She was doing something for Hammerlock's DLC, which was coming out at that time.
Cool.
The Guns, Love, and Tentacles DLC. So it definitely seems like he's involved in the process and actively is willing to learn about the series to make it as close to something that would resemble a movie version of the series as possible.
Yeah.
You can't have it be 1-to-1. That doesn't always translate well. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. So I think we just have to approach it with an open mind and see what happens with it.
Yeah, I think my take on everything that Gearbox and 2K are doing is have a little faith. Because they haven't led, like, I feel like I absolutely have not been led wrong or let down in any way, shape, or form ever by them. Like every single thing that they've said they were going to do and every single sort of thing that I've gotten excited about that they've talked about has been delivered in awesome form. So, just we'll see what happens.
So, with that being said, we're going to turn it over to you guys real quick. Everybody across all of the chats who are watching the program today, and thank you so much for doing so. I'm just curious, because we have a few minutes here whilst we're wrapping up, just what all of you would like to see this year in Borderlands. I've seen a few suggestions so far. I know that there are some concerns about Endgame. Some people say that there is Endgame. Some people say that there isn't Endgame. I'm of the mind that there is. It's just right now, that Endgame is either far too challenging for the largesse of the player base, or not nearly challenging enough with rewards that still maybe don't justify return on investment. So I definitely think DLC and raid bosses are going to be a big one that I'm going to see.
Yeah, that's a really big one that a lot of people talk about across all platforms. More customizations is one I personally super agree with too.
I knew you were too. As soon as I saw that.
Yeah.
That's good.
I just like visual stuff. Give me more eye candy, please.
What specifically for visual? Words. Customizations. What customization features would you like to see? Would you like to see the ones that they have? You want more gun skins?
I want more gun skins. I mean, that's like the biggest thing for me, because I love the gun skins that we have, but like I want a badass gun skin. You know what I mean? Like I want a gun skin that looks like that, because there is one that's no, not really. Yeah, I want a badass gun skin, and I just want more gun skins, because that's like actually what you constantly see all the time in the game, like all the time. Also, I would really, really love, like in association with that, I would love, and I'm sure this is really hard to do, but I would love if, like we have trinket slots, if we had a gun skin slot. Because every single time you change guns, you have to reapply a skin, right? And you can't just like slot a skin into that gun slot. And I would love it if we could do that. The trinkets are super cute, but like it'd be amazing if we didn't have to reapply gun skins every single time, you know?
I actually like that idea a lot because with trinkets, I know it's set it and forget it. But with weapon skins, I'll be playing with a gun for maybe the better part of 3 months before I'm like, wait, I have weapon skins. I can put this on. What am I doing? I can make it look prettier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because most of the guns already look really nice.
Yeah. I mean, I love character skins and stuff like that too, but they just gave us some really amazing, like full body reskins of the characters, and they're awesome. So I'm kind of pretty satisfied with that. I just feel like more gun skins would be amazing because like you see your gun visually in front of you all the time, right? That's the thing you see the most above anything else, really. The one constant. So more gun skins. That'd be cool. But yeah, we've got some longer comments. If only my chat would stop scrolling. Like a randomized dungeon mechanic, that would be really cool. That I mean, I feel like Arms Race is a little bit that because it's a different experience every time, but I want to see more randomization in Arms Race. Like I would love to see first of all, I would love to see a version of Arms Race that brings in some kind of action skill still. But I would really love to see different maps and different bosses and different boss locations. Those three things, I think, for me are the biggest asks for Arms Race and Arms Race-like content. I want to see more variety there, more randomization and variety there.
I agree. I had an idea. It just came to me right now. So Psycho Krieg in the Fantastic Fustercluck is inside Krieg's mind, right? And inside Krieg's mind, when you look around, you'll often see different parts of all these different areas and spaceships and Hyperion stuff, and everything's just kind of mashed together. If you can't do it clean, you can do it quick and dirty by having it a randomization for levels be in Krieg's mind, because there's already the setup of, oh, well, it's Krieg's mind, so of course it's going to be a jumbled mess. He just misremembers how you're going through this every single time. So there's already an in-universe explanation for how you can get away with having things look discombobulated. So you have it start there, and then you just explain bosses the same way. Oh, well, he just thought he was fighting G at this spot. Instead, next time it just winds up being any name, Chupacabrach shows up there, and then that spot next time. Okay, and then next time it winds up being Grave Ward, and probably a bad example there because Grave Ward's a little too big to put there, but it could be Troy. You just throw Troy there, and so
yeah, why not?
You just switch all of that stuff around. And then you have an in-universe explanation to get away with it too. You just say, "Oh, well, Krieg's mind, he's just remembering things differently." So it works out.
Yeah, that would be cool. More pet customizations, that would be neat. Also, more weapon rarities, raid bosses, definitely. Iridium weapons, so like more weapon rarities. Again, yeah, less anointments. Yeah, I've heard that one a lot. There are too many anointments and not enough ones that are like super valuable. So I like the anointment system because I feel like it provides greater variety in terms of builds, right? It like it's harder to get those builds because you have to kind of like farm so much to get the perfect anoints, but when you do, it can be amazing. So I don't know.
So when it comes to that, having talked with everybody, Graham and Anthony and all the people at Gearbox, as to what is going on, because two things that you said there are actually interlinked. People don't realize that. And I'm not saying this because I necessarily agree with it. I'm just going to explain the thought process and philosophy at Gearbox, at least the way I'm interpreting it, as to why this is the way it is. In Borderlands 2, you had common, uncommon, rare, unique blue, which was still rare but not adequately explained. And uniques were very important weapons, especially the Sandhawk and the Pimpernel. You had epic, then you had E-Tech. So that's 6, right? Mm-hmm. We haven't even gotten the legendary. Now there's legendary, Seraph, Pearlescent, Effervescent. That's 10 rarities. Oof. 10. I don't know if anybody actually sat and counted it, but that's how many there are in the game when you break them all down. That's a lot. And part of the reason you have rarity in a game such as Borderlands is rarity denotes quality. Not always, but more often than not. It's a visual representation for players to be able to see something and be like, oh, that's clearly better than what I have because that's that color. So you want to pick up the purple because you're like, the purple is going to be better than my blue. If you don't want to spend the time looking at the numbers and breaking down everything, which not every player does. So they said, all right, well, this is too complicated. People don't understand the difference between Seraph and this and that. So we're going to squish it. We're going to get rid of all like 5 or 6 different rarities. And here's what we're going to do. Pearlescents were always intended to be the strongest guns in the game, but it didn't work out that way. Some of them were very competitive. The Butcher was competitive. The Avenger was very competitive. Sandhawk, Sandhawk too, but the Sawbar was very competitive. And then there were like 1 or 2 others, and I apologize, but there were they were there. But Pearlescents were a 0.12% chance drop, like a less than 1% chance to get one. Right? So you would think that the difficulty of obtaining one was supposed to be offset by the fact that it was supposed to be one of the strongest guns in the game, if not the strongest in that category in the game. Again, it's not how it worked out. So what Gearbox said is, let's take out all of these different rarities, squish it back to legendary, and then put in anointments. And the rarity is now coming from you going for the gun you want, the stats on that gun that you want, and the anointment that you want. So that's how they got down to that 0.12% chance to get the best of the best of the best again. And in their mind, right or wrong, again, this is an opinion. In their mind, the philosophy behind it was, at least you're getting a gun. It might not be the gun that you want, but you're getting something, so at least you're going to try again. And to some people, that's good because it means, oh, I was looking for something. It's not the role I want, but at least it's usable for now. And for other people, it's a turnoff because they're like, now I'm getting inundated with legendaries. Too many. They're everywhere. They're dropping here. They're dropping there. My map is full of stars. So that was the thought process behind it. Am I defending it? No. Am I supporting it? No. I'm saying, or am I bashing on it? No. I am completely neutral on this. I'm only presenting you guys with the facts behind the rationale as far as I've interpreted it from them. You guys, now being informed, can now make a decision whether or not you like that idea or you don't like that idea. But they did it with a purpose. It wasn't just because they wanted to get rid of things for funsies. There was a method to that madness that I don't think many people realize. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like either way, some people are going to be unhappy. That's the reality.
Well, yeah. It's video games.
Yeah, like there's always going to be something. Personally, I feel like a new rarity would feel a little bit more special when you get it, even if the chance of getting it is less, like it's easier to decide. Like, let's say there was a rainbow rarity or something, you know what I mean? And when you see, like, when you're running bosses over and over and over again, or you're running takedowns over and over again, and you see like a bazillion legendaries, and then you get that one rainbow plume, you get really excited, right? Because that is something you've been searching for. Whereas with the anointments, it's really hard to tell. Like, you have to actually look at every single one, you know what I mean? And so it's like kind of not time wasted, but it's just time when you're not doing the core gameplay when you're not like running around and shooting and all that stuff. And it's nice to have like that break in the constant combat pacing because there's tons of that already in Borderlands. But at the same time, it's just like there's something to be said for the feeling of seeing that special, extra special plume of a specific color that you've been looking for. You know,
Yes.
like in Arms Race, you kind of get it because when you see a legendary in Arms Race, you're like, ooh, you know what I mean? Or even when you see a purple, in Arms Race, you're like, ooh, that's gonna be, you know, that's gonna be good. And it just feels very satisfying to get that drop. And I feel like the problem with the current legendary system, like I absolutely get why they made the decision and I like it makes sense. But I feel like that satisfaction isn't quite there. But I also feel like people would complain either way.
No,
People
absolutely.
100% would complain either way.
And they kind of did at the beginning. I remember when Proving Grounds were like the place to go, or Slaughter Star was the place to go, because you'd kill 2 things and then a legendary would pop out, and you've got maybe 500 things that you have to go through in order to get to the final boss. By the time you get to the final boss, the map is just covered in orange. And I think at that point, people were so focused on the Borderlands 2 mentality that they were just, oh, this doesn't help me in any way. And it just feels like I'm getting oversaturated with stuff that I'm not using anyway. So it makes legendaries feel less valuable.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just a psychology thing, honestly, because
is.
like the reality is it's the same. There's just a lot of really awesome guns. But yeah, it's just a psychology thing. And I do think that people would complain either way. So like I don't know if adding a new rarity is the right solution. There's probably a solution that we haven't come up with that smarter people than us will come up with. But I don't know. I mean, I do feel like some of the less useful annoyance don't need to be there. Which annoyance are useful to you is also, that's kind of individual. It depends on what build you're going for, you know, like it really does depend. So it's hard to say that like one gun is really better than another gun because it depends on your overall build. And there's so many creative, awesome builds out there. As proven and showcased by Ultimate Vault Hunter, which by the way is airing later today at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, in like a little bit less than 3 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that.
2.5, I think.
Yeah. We're running a little later than expected.
Yeah, we missed last week. We'll run another 5-10 minutes over.
Yeah.
Or rather, I mean, we just did, so. But it probably is about time we start wrapping up. But yes, no, I agree with you. I think that there is a little bit too much on the anointment side. But again, the reason behind that, it goes back and forth. It's like, this is this, but the psychology behind it is this stresses me out because now I have to look at everything and it might not be what I want, and I'm getting things, but it's never going to be it, and it turns you off. So, and trust me, there are games out there right now that are having the complete opposite problem. There are games right now where loot just does not drop at all. So it's just a matter of figuring out where the balance is. And of all the companies, I think that's best equipped to do that right now. And this is going to sound like I'm like talking them up because I'm supposed to, but no, this one's actually true. I think Gearbox could figure out the balance. I think that director's cut is going to bring something new to the table, hopefully along those lines. And we're going to be really happy about it. Whether or not that's actually the case, I don't know, but
I'm excited for it. I think, I mean, like I said, they've literally never not delivered. So I'm just psyched for whatever comes next, and I hope it comes relatively soon. But whenever it's ready, that's when it'll come, and I'm gonna be really happy. So.
Yup. That's exactly how it will be. All right. Season Pass 2. It's out now. The designer's cut is out there, featuring the 4th skill trees and Arms Race, which of course has Axton and Salvador back as hosts. It's just a wonderful time. I love Arms Race. Tess, I believe you mentioned earlier that you do too.
Oh yeah.
It's just so much fun. And it has a plasma coil, which is one of the best guns ever. Sometime in the spring, we're looking forward to the director's cut. God, I hope so. Tess, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/Tessachka. It's just Tessa, CHKA, and on Twitter at Tess Games, and also right here on the Borderlands channel. I stream on my channel every single Saturday around 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern, and then I'm also doing Mondays now at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I'll probably start doing Wednesdays around that time. And then maybe some morning streams. I don't know. I haven't figured out the schedule, but I'm gonna be streaming more. And I'm here. So I'm here usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays on the Borderlands channel, but right now I'm going to be doing a lot of bonus Sunday streams as well, because again, I had to have surgery, and I have to have a second surgery and a third surgery in about a month and a half, and then another one about a month and a half after that. So I'm just banking some extra days in case I need them. So Sundays, yes, on the Borderlands channel. Mitsu, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/Mitsu, MITSU, Twitter.com/Mitsu Show, MITSUSHOW. And I'm going to start trying to promote this a little bit more right here. Twitch.tv/Borderlands, the official Borderlands channel. I really want to continue to have people come to this channel to be able to appreciate all of the wonderful hard work that all of the streamers on here put in whenever we do the things that we do, both myself and Tess. Of course, Liz55, our wonderful friend and host of Ultimate Vault Hunters, which is airing later today at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, right here on the official Borderlands channel, which you can then find afterwards on YouTube as soon as it's done airing live. We also have Triple G, who is consistently streaming, I believe you said Fridays and Sundays in the mornings?
Yep, mornings Eastern.
Yes. So there's a lot going on this channel right here, right now. Some of your favorite streamers occasionally pop in here as well, which is really nice to see. And I'm looking forward to this year and figuring out ways that we can continue to further build this channel up and make it the #1 place for all things Borderlands. That's not just a slogan that we say at the beginning of the show. We really do mean it.
You guys are awesome. Seriously. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've donated to the charity, thank you so much for doing so. It really is a worthwhile cause. And the fact that 2K is matching donations is amazing. If you'd like to learn more, you can always just type !donate in the Twitch chat right here on twitch.tv/Borderlands. I'll also put the donation link in the podcast description section. So to all of our listeners, huge thank you, whether you're listening on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, YouTube Music, and or Stitcher. If you're joining us on Twitch, if you're joining us on YouTube or Facebook or Steam, thank you so much. You guys are absolutely amazing. We appreciate you all so much. And we'll see you next week at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here. And stick around or come back a little bit later today for Ultimate Vault Hunter at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, as Mitsu said, with the absolutely gorgeous and awesome Liz, aka Sh55, and a very awesome guest. It's going to be a good episode.
That's right. And we have a very, very special guest for one that we'll be filming today, which will air, of course, in... well, I'm not entirely sure when we're going to air it. Did we decide that?
2 weeks.
We're going to do it 2 weeks? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll have to fix some things. That's quite all right then. All right, cool. Then... With that being said, as we do show prep live on this show for the next one, on behalf of Tess, myself, and the entire content creation team, thank you so much for joining us to do every single week. Now go forth and make some mayhem.